Human gave little alien girl his last food. Now she returns years later to repay his kindness. The storm howled across the wasteland, stripping the rust-red dust from ancient stones. Cal Brennan hunched deeper into the wreckage of the old cargo hauler, hands numb beneath patched gloves. His breath misted in the thin, bitter air. Another meal skipped. Another day survived. But he wasn't truly alone. In the shadows at the rear of the hauler, a child's eyes watched him, enormous, violet, and fearful. She couldn't have been more than 6 or 7, by human reckoning. Fine silver hair clung to her face, tangled and caked with dust. Her small frame trembled as she pressed her back to the hull, clutching a broken ceramic shard like a dagger. Cal met those eyes, heart-twisting. "You'll starve like that, little one," he rasped, voice hoarse from days without water. Slowly, painfully, he unwrapped the last ration bar from his pocket, an ancient, near-fossilized relic of better days. He offered it with a trembling hand. She flinched, but hunger beat fear. With shaking fingers, she took it. Her eyes widened as she tasted the sweet, dense food. For a heartbeat, she forgot to be afraid. "What's your name?" Cal asked softly. The girl swallowed, wiped her mouth with the back of her hand. "T. Tellery," she whispered. "Tellari," Cal echoed, forcing a smile. "That's beautiful." A crash of wind rattled the hauler. The girl shrank back. Cal shifted closer, ignoring the pain in his joints. "Stay near me tonight. The wind can tear the skin from your bones out there." She hesitated, then took a single step toward him. That night, they huddled together beneath a scorched thermal blanket. She was bone-thin, warmer than she looked, and smelled faintly of crushed flowers and ozone. Cal let exhaustion pull him under, the girl's tiny heartbeat echoing in his ear. When dawn bled across the dunes, Tellari was gone. Only a single silver hair lay on the sand where she'd slept. Years passed. Cal Brennan kept surviving barely. He wandered from ruin to ruin, scavenging rusted tech and broken dreams. His hair grew gray at the temples. Scars multiplied on his weathered hands. But the memory of a starving child with violet eyes stayed alive in him, a spark against the darkness. People laughed when he spoke of her. "A desert spirit? You sure you weren't just hallucinating?" Cal would only shake his head. She was real. One bitter night, Cal staggered across the dunes under a moon the color of rust. His pack was empty. His breath burned in his chest. Sand hissed around him, whispering promises of oblivion. His legs gave out. He fell to his knees, then collapsed onto his side. So this is it, he thought. Not bad, all things considered. Darkness gathered at the edges of his vision. And then, a shadow fell across him, blocking the moon. Warm hands, strong but gentle, lifted him. A scent washed over him. Ozone and crushed flowers. Impossible, Cal thought, as the world spun away. "Tellari?" Cal woke to warmth. Soft fabric cradled him. His wounds were cleaned, bandaged. He blinked against a pale, golden glow. The shelter was built from scrap and stone, but carefully, almost lovingly. Strange symbols adorned the walls, glowing faintly. A figure knelt beside him, head bowed. Long silver hair brushed the dusty floor. She looked up, not a child anymore. A young woman now, tall, graceful, violet eyes bright as amethyst. Her face was finer, but he knew her instantly. "Tellari," he whispered, voice raw. She smiled, hesitant, almost shy. "You remember. How are you here?" "I've been searching," she said. Her voice, once broken by fear, now carried the quiet strength of wind-sculpted stone. "Since that night, you saved me, fed me when you had nothing. I never forgot." He'll try to rise, but pain flared in his chest. She gently pressed him back down. "You shouldn't move yet," she murmured. "Your body is weak." He chuckled dryly. Always has been lately. His eyes softened. You grew up well. And you, she said, her gaze shimmering, you endured. Over the next days, Telari nursed him back to strength. She shared strange, spicy broth that made Cal's blood feel alive again. At night, they sat by a crackling fire made from brittle driftwood and resin bricks. Cal told her of the years he'd wandered, the battles fought and lost, the friends buried in shallow graves. Telari listened, head tilted slightly, silver hair catching the firelight like spun metal. My people exiled me, she said one night, voice low. They called me impure, a child born under a broken moon. Cal felt anger coil in his chest. Then they're fools, he growled. Telari looked up sharply, surprise flashing across her face, then something warmer. You don't even know what I am, she said, almost teasing. I know enough, Cal replied. You were hungry and afraid, just like anyone else. Their eyes met across the fire. Neither spoke. The silence was not empty, but thick with unspoken things. One dawn, Cal stood outside the shelter, leaning on a rusted pipe. Telari joined him, the rising sun gilding her hair. Where will you go now? She asked softly. Cal sighed, the wind tugging at his tattered coat. I hadn't planned that far ahead. Telari hesitated, then took a deep breath. Then come with me. Cal blinked. Where? To the north, she said. My people have a hidden sanctuary in the ice canyons. They might not accept me, but you saved my life. They will hear my words. Cal studied her face. And if they don't, then we keep moving, she said fiercely. Together. For the first time in years, Cal felt the heavy crust of loneliness crack. Telari, his voice was rough. Why risk so much for me? She stepped closer, close enough that he could feel the heat of her skin. When I was starving, she whispered, you gave me your last food. You could have let me die. Instead, you saved me. I've carried that moment here. She touched her chest every day. Cal's mouth felt dry. That was a long time ago. I don't forget kindness, she said, and I won't leave you behind. They set out at dawn. Cal's legs ached with every step, but Telari walked beside him, her presence as steady as the rising sun. Sand turned to gravel, then to ice-crusted earth as they approached the canyons. Shattered spires of frozen stone rose on all sides, silent sentinels watching their journey. At night, they camped beneath the wheeling stars. The silence between them grew softer, comfortable. One night, as frost dusted their blankets, Telari shifted closer. Her breath was warm against Cal's cheek. Are you afraid? She asked. Cal swallowed. A little, he admitted, but not of what's ahead. What then? Of losing this, he whispered. Her hand brushed his. Their fingers twined, fragile as a promise. You won't, she said. At last, they reached the mouth of the hidden sanctuary, a narrow fissure between walls of black ice. Ancient glyphs shimmered faintly in the half-light. Telari squared her shoulders. Wait here, she told Cal. She stepped forward alone, silver hair trailing behind like a banner. Figures emerged from the shadows, tall, robed, eyes gleaming like polished gems. Cal watched, heart hammering. They spoke in a language older than the dunes, the words sharp and cold. Telari's voice rose, fierce and melodic. At first, the elders turned away, but Telari did not bow her head. She pointed back to Cal, her hand steady, her voice unyielding.